Once long ago, there existed a peaceful village where everyone greeted each other and everyone knew everyone else's name. And they would often feast and dine together. And the old would regale the young with tales of mischief from their youth. And the youth would laugh and play. They would often get caught skipping school to go swimming or biking or surfing or to go fishing. But this quiet, idyllic peace was shattered one day when a great beast arrived. Disguised as tentacle cables, he entered our homes. He entered our homes with the offer of news and information, a better connection to your friends and family. And slowly, the great beast took over the very airwaves itself. You could be connected anywhere. It offered games, shopping, promises of friendship and inclusion, of knowing just what was in and what was out. And so time went on, and no one greeted each other anymore, as baseless fears and suspicions grew. Families and friends might still eat together, but now it was nothing more than a mechanical action, as the draw of the beast held their attention fixed. Parks stood empty. The only thing left to swing the swing was a lonely breeze. Now children were caught skipping school. Drugs, alcohol, video games, and movies were the order of the day. And bikes and surfboards and the like were left in the garages and attics to collect dust. The great beast had won. The whole of their society had been conquered. The worst was to watch as they went willingly, now unable to part from that which would be their own demise. As a society, we are becoming wholly dependent on technology and the internet. At the cost of our health, our social lives, and our abilities to logically solve problems. I too am guilty of becoming technology dependent. Even as a kid, I loved sitting in front of Atari or Nintendo. I remember the first time the problem became apparent. I received a gold cartridge, The Legend of Zelda. And I faked sick and stayed home from school to play The Legend of Zelda for 3 days. That should have been a sign that there was an issue. Now more than ever, we are surrounded by technology and inherent to it to get through our daily lives without seeing the things that go on right in front of us. I am clearly addicted, and the dependency is sickening, said one student. Between having a BlackBerry, a laptop, a television, and an iPod, we have become unable to shed our media skin. This according to a 2010 Reuters article on a study done on 200 University of Maryland students, conducted by Susan Muller, who was the program director and a professor at the university. We will begin by talking about the problem of technology and what it poses in our lives from health and social aspects. And then we will talk about some of the best ways to combat the monster of technology and how to turn that technology from a monster into a tool which we truly control and no longer controls us. Finally, we will walk through the world where we are masters of technology and masters of our own destiny. How many of you have used the internet today? You're watching Netflix, YouTube, playing a game, texting, Facebook, doing research. How many of you would feel that your life would be severely affected if we suddenly lost the internet? As a society, dependence on technology has increased greatly since the invention of things like video games and the internet. In 1995, a New York psychiatrist by the name of Ivan Goldberg first proposed the existence of internet addiction. This was later compounded. It was written in an article by Peter Mitchell in The Lancet, which is a collection of scholarly reviewed peer journals, which said, and I quote, "The 1996 study of Kimberly Young and the University of Pittsburgh that triggered controversy. Young reports that 396 out of 496 regular internet users were dependent on the internet. That means that 75% of people show difficulty in adjusting for just 24 hours of non-internet use. Even those attempting to refute this study, such as Ulrich Hilger-Seemann and his colleagues, with their own group of 800, can be found to admit, and he concedes that there is some proof for internet addiction. and I quote, often our patients complain about typical withdrawal symptoms such as nervousness, agitation, and aggression. A clinical psychologist at Harvard Medical School, Melissa Olchek, also reinforces our evidence for an internet addiction when she says she's receiving several new patients each week which suffer from internet addiction, which also exacerbates other existing mental problems, such as depression, social phobia, impulse control control, and attention deficit disorder, along with bipolar, suicidal people, and people attenuated to violent outbreaks. Being addicted to our technology and our electronic connections makes us slaves to the very technologies that was supposed to make our lives easier, better, and bring us closer together. But how do we tell when we're online too much? What are some ways of knowing just how much technology has a hold on our lives? When a Reuters article can refer to a BlackBerry as a crackberry and claims that American college students are hooked on cell phones, social media, and internet and show symptoms similar to drug and alcohol, perhaps it's time to recognize the internet addiction for what it is. We need to learn to identify what addiction is and how it can be treated and controlled. Through this next section, we will look at some research and ask questions about addiction, how severe it is, and what can be done to combat it. We cannot begin to treat addiction without first seeing what the factors of addiction are. The World Health Organization lists some of the factors of addiction as tolerance, withdrawal, difficulty controlling your use, negative consequences from your use, neglecting or postponing other activities because of your use, spending significant time or emotional energy or desire to cut down. And they even list 7 questions. We'll take a quick look. I won't go through them all for time constraints. Let's keep mute. And as you can see, they're just yes or no questions. Does your use of, you get anything think you might have an addiction over. You can put there. And you go through. And if you answer yes to at least 3 of these questions, you fulfill the criteria for a medical definition of addiction. Well, next I want to look at Kimberly Young's study. She asked a lot of questions geared toward internet behavior in particular. And as you can see, we answer 1 through 5. I was going to have you all do this, but due for time constraints, we're not going to do this. Instead, we'll just kind of look through them, and 1 through 5. You know, she had 20 questions, which she answered in our study. And at the end of the 20 questions, you can see the grading scale that it has. I scored a 37. And while that's within the norm range, it did show some factors that I should look at, which could become problems and bigger issues if not dealt with. Start with the test helps to point out behavior patterns which might be problematic. By identifying behaviors we can contribute to the problem, we can begin trying to change. We are creatures of habit, and we often need to teach ourselves new and healthy habits in order to become the people that we expect ourselves to be. We need to disconnect to reconnect. Disconnect from the noise. Disconnect from the hype. Disconnect from the anxiety. Disconnect from the blanket of media which seeks to smother us and keep us from the full riches of the human experience. Disconnect from your phone. It has an off button. Use it. Disconnect from your computer. Turn it off. Reconnect with your friends and family. Reconnect with your pets. Reconnect with a neighbor. Have a conversation. Go to a cell phone-free dinner with your family and friends. Go out with your friends and have an adventure around the world. Get out of range. Get out of range of the internet. The monster of the internet has come, and like Frodo, I wish it had not happened in my time. And so do I, says Gandalf, and so do all who live to see it at such times, but it's not for them to decide. All we have to decide is what to do with the time it has given us. And that's the real question, isn't it? Do we sit mute, ranting into space where our voice is but a drop in a very large sea? Or do we have an effect on the lives around us by putting the technology down and gaining people around us? I see a world where family uses the internet to find information about a place where they find, but they don't take, to find out information about a restaurant. And the family goes to eat at the restaurant, but they don't find it necessary to take pictures of the food and every instance that they're eating at the restaurant. I see a world where friends and family plan a safe, fun camping trip to someplace and document the trip vastly, but don't share it with everyone until the trip is over and they've arrived home. I see the old telling stories and the young listening to their experiences, and being sparked by their experiences and actually going and looking up what they heard about to learn more information about it, and real-life experience making real connection. I see a balance between the need for technology and the need for actual human interaction. I see a world where the two could be used to complement each other in many ways. To quote Louis Armstrong, I see trees of green and red roses too. I see them bloom for me and you, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. We've talked about what addiction is and how to recognize some of the signs of internet addiction. We have discussed ways to remedy the problem and what the world might look like if we solve the problem. As a society, we are becoming wholly dependent and addicted to technology and the internet, at the cost of our health, our social lives, and our abilities to think. I would like to challenge you all, before next semester starts, to disconnect and reconnect. Go out, get out of range. Go out and make connections with your friends and with your family. Go out, plan a camping trip, plan an adventure. Go someplace fun that doesn't have the internet. Talk to the people that matter in your life the most. And I'll leave you with this. I have 422 friends, yet I am lonely. I speak to all of them every day, yet none of them really know me. The problem I have sits in the spaces between, looking into their eyes or at names on the screen. I step back and I open my eyes. I looked around and realized this media we call social is anything but. When we open our computers and it's our door we shut. All this technology is just an illusion. Community, companionship, a sense of inclusion. When you step away from this divisive delusion, you awaken to a world of confusion. A world where we're slaves to the technology we mastered. Where information is sold by some rich, greedy bastard. A world of self-interest, self-image, self-promotion, where we show all of our best bits but leave out the emotion. We are most happy when each experience we share. But is it the same if no one is there? Be there for your friends and they'll be there too. But no one will be there if a group message will do. We put words into order until our lives are listening, but we don't even know if anyone is listening. Being alone isn't the problem. Let me just emphasize. When we read a book, paint a picture, or do some exercise, you're being productive and present, not reserved and recluse. You'll be awake and attentive and putting your time to good use. So when you're in public and you start to feel alone, put your hands behind your head and step away from your phone. You don't need to stare at your menu or your contacts list. Talk to one another.